Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the TIK TOK podcast with me, Joe.
And me, Dan.
And that was the Bahrain Grand Prix. But first of all, Dan, how are you doing, my friend? How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's good to be back, isn't it? After a really long winter break.
Did you say 104 days?
Yeah.
104 days.
104 days, and not much has changed. We're still in Max Verstappen's world, aren't we?
Yeah.
But apart from that, I actually enjoyed the race.
Yeah, I thought it's so good to be back. What a race! The whole weekend was fantastic as well. Exciting I never usually watch the Friday stuff, but Twitter was going crazy. Obviously, one man in the headlines, Esteban Ocon. Sadly, not Matty, but it was Fernando Alonso, the Spaniard, the GOAT, as they say. Yeah, he was just fantastic all weekend, really.
Yeah, well, as soon as he got in the car, even in testing, he's just been on fire, hasn't he? Really, he's got straight on the pace, and Russell said on the Thursday that he thought it would be between Ferrari and Aston for P2, for second place, and it turns out he was right, and everyone was thinking, maybe everyone was overestimating Aston Martin a little bit, and we'll see this weekend if their pace is proper, and I'm happy to say that it was.
Do we think that, I'm going to get this question, I think this is quite a big question. Do we think Aston Martin are going to be able to keep this up the whole season, though?
Well, I hope so. I think everyone hopes so. They've said they've got an aggressive development package coming, and obviously they finished 7th last year in the Constructors, meaning they've got quite a bit more wind tunnel time than Mercedes and Ferrari around them. And, well, we all know that they've poached all these great engineers and minds from Red Bull, from Mercedes, from everywhere, really.
Yeah.
They've just brought together some sort of super team. And, I think they're ahead of where they thought they would be. I thought, they'll be 4th. But to come in to the first race of the season, have the second fastest car,
yeah,
they've just done a phenomenal job.
I've got another follow-up question as well. How many billions, in terms of pounds, do you reckon they've gone over the budget?
Well, it's funny you say that because the teams, Red Bull and Aston Martin, were the only two teams that had budget cap issues last season.
So,
and yet here we are.
So maybe Charles Leclerc will win the championship after all. When everyone else gets,
he could be racing by himself though. Only man on the track and his car would still blow.
A Carlos Sainz
they would find
a
way to lose.
Yeah, but they would find a way to lose. I had a great weekend, not only because the racing was fantastic, but as soon as the race finished, we went to Liverpool Man United and we absolutely battered Man United 7-0. What a game. Got into an argument with a Man United fan and then he left at 6-0, so I think I won that one. Although I wasn't going to do anything anyway. But this is an F1 podcast.
It is.
So what happened on Friday? So we had testing. What happened?
Well, in practice one, everything seemed well. Aston didn't. Well, they weren't top like they were in. Well, for a lot of testing, but then as FP2 rolled around and Fernando started whacking out the purple sectors, I think everyone raised their eyebrows a little bit, saying okay. But even on a Friday, you can't really tell, and especially Ferrari compared to what we saw later in the weekend, they still hid a lot of their performance.
Yeah.
So, you can never really take too much from a Friday, but it was nice to see that Aston was still up there.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting how everyone thought Mercedes were sandbagging a little bit, possibly using lower engine modes and stuff, but it got into Q1, and I still thought they were a lot faster than everyone expected.
Oh, yeah.
But then they still got split by the Astons.
Yeah. Q1, I think, was one of the most exciting qualifying sessions I've seen in ages. The whole field was split by 1.1 seconds from top to bottom.
That is incredible.
That's such a small field, and I know Red Bull didn't turn their engine all the way up until Q3. But up and down the field there was a lot going on. I suppose we'll just talk about him now. Logan Sargent, bless him.
Yeah.
Clocked the exact same time as Lando Norris in 15th, but obviously because he set it after.
Yeah.
He got eliminated.
That's so unlucky.
If he was 1,000th of a second quicker, both.
F1 debut.
I
mean, look, I think he did himself proud anyway.
I think he had a great
weekend, in terms
Logan
of qualifying,
Sargent.
but the whole weekend was good for him and for both the Williams. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Have you got a little press conference roundup to give me as well?
So on the Thursday, Max dropped a bit of an ominous message for the rest of the grid when they asked him, Max, where is the car better this year? And his answer was everywhere. So if you're, Ferrari or Mercedes, that's not particularly promising, is
It's
it?
not what you want to hear. Definitely
No.
not what you want to hear. Especially when Mercedes, like all you hear from the Mercedes these days is them whining about their car.
Yeah.
And I hope it gets better because it does seem like a bit of a shame that they're not as competitive as perhaps we hoped they would. Well, I don't know actually. They're not as competitive as they thought they would be.
Yeah.
But saying that, their competitiveness gave us some amazing battles, some fantastic overtakes, mostly from the same person. But that's not particularly important.
With Mercedes, to me they seem not ignorant, but like they seem to think that every other team's gonna stand still and let them catch up. Almost like we're 1 second behind Red Bull, but we can make that gap up before the end of the season. Like Red Bull aren't just gonna stand still and let them catch up.
Yeah.
And they're in a proper hole now.
Yeah.
They've stuck with this concept, which now they've come out and said that they don't think it's going to work. And if if there's a time to change concept, it's between seasons, and yet they've rocked up to Bahrain with the same one, and it still doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I feel as much as I'm ready for it to be the new age of drivers, I do feel a bit bad for Lewis. He's going to spend the twilight of his career developing this Mercedes car. Yeah. But he might not ever get a chance to fight for his 8th title, never mind actually win it the way they're going at the moment.
Yeah. Which is such a shame as well. I mean, I've seen a lot of pictures from Abu Dhabi those few seasons ago of all the drivers saying that. I think it was Daniel Ricciardo said that's fucked up.
Yeah.
You just have to feel, especially after, because there's no denying Max is going to. I mean, I think you'd be pretty.
It's going to take something monumental for him to not win the title this year.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Which is crazy to think. Like
we're only one race in, but I feel like George Russell said on Thursday that if Red Bull don't win every race this season, he'll be surprised.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be. I mean,
obviously it won't happen because it's F1, and there'll be moments where there's circumstances out of their hands. But every race that Max finishes, if he's not first, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, I think if he doesn't go and win a solid 15 races in a row this season, I would be shocked.
I'm already, as a Max fan, looking at what records he can break this season.
Yeah,
he's got the main one for me is the 9 in a row for Vettel that he won, and he was close to doing it last year, but then the Singapore happened and he just dropped a honker. But he's got such a car advantage at the minute, and he's got most podiums in a season, which is a record he has, 18. Yeah. He should probably beat that this year. Most wins in a season, 15. He also has that one, but he should beat that again this year.
Matty, who sadly could not be here today, we think it's because of the Ocon stinker, but we'll get past that. Can you insert a clip of Dan saying last week that Ferrari would win the Constructors' Championship?
I know.
So we've got Red Bull first, haven't we? And you've got
Ferrari.
Even though you wear the Red Bull top.
I did say Max would win the title though, but I'm shocked as to how good the Red Bull is.
Yeah, I'm not.
I thought it was going to be closer. I thought, there was murmurs that Ferrari were holding some performance back, and they were. Yeah. Like when it got to qualifying, Leclerc was only 3/10 away from Verstappen, and he didn't do a second run on his tyres. Yeah. But in the race pace, my God.
I mean, even though 3/10 still, we're talking. I think we've been talking in between recording that. The Leclerc's speed over one lap is incredible. 3/10, like in qualifying, that's a big gap. And there's no denying they're both fantastic drivers in terms of Max and Charles.
Yeah, and with the Ferrari as well, when it comes to the race, they just eat through their tyres compared to the Red Bull. I don't know if you saw, but on the radio in the race, Max was going around and they were telling him to go slower and slower. And he was like, why? And he's like, just do, I think they were telling him to go 7/10 slower a lap than he was going. And according to Red Bull, they could have run a second a lap faster than they did. So that's terrifying.
I mean, wasn't Lewis saying that they were already running 3 seconds a lap faster than the Mercs?
Well, he was going a second a lap quicker than Mercedes already. And if that's the thing about Mercedes as well. If Red Bull run full tilt, that's 2 seconds a lap quicker.
It's not even. I just like
that's crazy.
All this stuff you just can't see it being close this year.
Something will happen in a couple of races where it's just completely out of Red Bull's hands, and Alonso or Leclerc will swoop in and get a win. But
Alonso, it would be so. I mean, it was already
as it stands at the moment.
If
a Red Bull catastrophe was to happen, he's the best place to swoop in.
Do you think? On the shock chance that Charles' car won't just die mid-race for no reason.
Well, let's get into the race then. We'll start at the beginning.
Yeah, let's go for the race.
So, it happened. The start happened. Everyone got through pretty okay until.
Pretty sure the only person from the start to change, well, in terms of the big places at the front, was Hamilton.
Yeah, Hamilton gained a few.
And didn't Leclerc split the Red Bulls as well? He got in front of.
Yeah, he got in front of Checo. But the main
was,
talking point was Stroll.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Goodness me.
Because Alonso did have a decent start. He wasn't, making the Ferrari sweat or anything. But there was instance number 1 this season, and I'm sure it won't be the last time.
Yeah. So for those of you who haven't watched it, effectively Alonso was in a battle with Russell, I believe. Or was it Hamilton?
It was Lewis.
It was Lewis.
He was going for a switchback, and Stroll's come steaming in. He's misjudged his braking point, he's not clattered into him. They both carried on relatively unscathed.
Yeah, but I think so. Effectively, Stroll clipped Alonso's rear
tire,
right, which could have been disastrous. It could have given him a puncture, and then he's out of contention for the podiums. And I think if he doesn't clip him, Alonso doesn't sort of wobble around, and he could probably even got past Lewis there, meaning that he maybe not at the end of challenge for second, but he could have been a lot closer.
Yeah, I think it's hindsight, that they are lucky that he didn't spin, he didn't puncture. Lance didn't damage his front wing, so all in all, they were relatively lucky.
Although I do think it's very funny how Fernando was like, "Who was it? Are they gonna give him a penalty?" And they were like, just keep driving, just keep going, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We'll get it sorted, whatever." Because they just did not want to tell him it was Lance. And this brings me on to another question: what will it take Aston Martin to replace Lance Stroll? Because obviously he's the son of Lawrence Stroll. And he's not a bad driver, but they're a team on a very, very upward trajectory, and I'm not sure that Lance Stroll is good enough. I mean, the car is rapid, so what will it take?
Well, the thing is with Stroll, if you remember back to 2020 and the Racing Point, the pink Mercedes, if you will.
Yes.
Perez dusted him. He was so much better than him. And now, when you look at the top teams, Perez is widely considered the worst driver, isn't he? I would say that's pretty fair.
Yeah, probably. Either him. Probably is him.
Perez is probably not the worst. He's still very good.
Still,
in terms of compare him to the rest of them, he's probably him and Sainz are at the bottom. And Perez fucking smoked Stroll that season. So I think, honestly, if it gets to a point where Aston Martin genuinely can challenge for the Constructors' Championship, is Lawrence, Senior Stroll, might have to go, "Listen, Lance, I'll buy you a seat in another team. But my brother in Christ, we need points."
Yeah, it's gonna take a lot for that to happen.
It is. I feel like they'd give him, let's say they got to a level where they could fight for the constructors, and they do it 2 seasons in a row, but they lose out because Stroll's 50 points behind. I think at that point they'd have to look at it and go, what's more important, the success of Aston Martin or the success of Lance Stroll?
Yeah, and it shouldn't be Lance Stroll racing. It is Aston Martin.
They've got sponsors and brands that they've got
to.
to.
And I think it's interesting as well if you really think about it, ultimately that company is supporting, they're paying the wage of many people that work for them. It seems a bit selfish if Lawrence Stroll is just going to keep Lance in that seat, because it could. I mean, not that it will, but it's like the manager of a football team playing his son as a goalkeeper.
The classic Sunday League.
Yeah,
thing,
what if you get relegated? And there's such a big difference. And there's such a big difference between how much money teams get paid based on where they finish.
Yeah.
It does. I'm not sure it does get that deep, but because obviously
they can afford it, can't they? Lawrence Stroll. But like I say,
I think it'll take a lot, basically.
Yeah. But to be fair though, let's give him some credit. He did finish 6th in the race. Was it 6th?
Yeah,
6th.
It's not his best ever finish. Don't even know where I was going with that.
No, but it's not. But he's just come back from surgery. He could barely turn the wheel on Friday.
Although that's something I think I have a different view on than most people, because I saw a lot. All the media I saw about that was, look at him. He's such a warrior. He's such a soldier. Look at him. He's driving basically with one hand. The way I see that is that, first of all, Drugovich is there. That is the whole point of your reserve driver being there, is so that if you need to, you can step in terms of a health risk. And that is the second thing. If he's driving and he can barely steer the wheel, turn the wheel, is that not just dangerous?
Yeah.
And obviously it turned out that in the end on Sunday he used both hands fine, and there was loads of cameras on his hands over making sure he knew that. But on the Saturday that could have just been dangerous. Obviously it wasn't in the end, but that's my view on it. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, well, I like Drugovic a lot.
Yeah.
I've watched him in F2 last season. I think he should be on the grid, and I was disappointed that he wasn't driving. But I think you just got to give him credit. Lance Stroll, he just stepped in.
Yeah.
And he beat George Russell on pace. I know the Aston was quicker, but he's one-handed against Russell, who's fantastic. I think he did a great job over the weekend.
Yeah, I think he did do a good job. It just, I don't know. I feel like that is what the reserve drivers are for. So to not use it, and again, maybe is it nepotism? The fact that maybe if it wasn't Lawrence Stroll's son, do you reckon he would have raced? If it was not just another driver, if it was someone else who wasn't related to the owner.
Well, I think it was important, as he's the full-time driver. Like, he missed all of testing and he needed the mileage.
Yeah,
he's not been in the car since he did the filming day, didn't he? But they got 10 laps there. Yeah. So I feel like it was important for him to just get in the car. And I feel like they knew as well they had a bit of a performance advantage over most people. So worst comes to worst, he'd be running on his own, kind of behind the other three teams.
Yeah.
And then in front of everyone else. So it wouldn't have been much of a problem. So I feel like it was just important for him to get in the car. And he's got a couple of weeks now, hasn't he, to rest it properly.
Yeah. So we spoke about one of the Astons in quite a lot of detail. What about Alonso? I think there's so much to talk about. Obviously, I think the main two things for me are the battle with George and the battle with Hamilton. Do you want to go through the battle with George first? Yeah,
well, he was behind George in the first place because Stroll gave him a little bit of a nudge. But they came out, didn't they? I remember that was he ahead of George by the time they got to Bottas? I think he was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Because he did him, didn't he? The race pace of the Aston Martin, like they were doing. He just sort of sat back, didn't he, and let the Mercedes chew through its tyres, and then.
I remember them saying actually that he said, I don't know if it was Fernando who was saying it to his engineer or the other way around. It could have been either way. They were saying the race will come to us.
Yeah.
The Merck's tyres will come to us. I think they said that about Ferrari for a second, and then obviously Leclerc and whatnot. But I thought that was a fantastic battle. I think that they traded places a little bit.
Yeah.
Both drivers going at it, which is like
that's what we want to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
The best drivers, like Alonso. He's so good wheel to wheel, but he's been in situations where he hasn't really had the opportunity to show that.
No, he's not.
If you think back to Hungary 2021 and against that superior Mercedes, and he held in Lewis back for so long and won knock on the race basically.
Yeah,
he's just so good attack and defense. I mean, we'll get onto his move on Hamilton in a minute, but he can overtake anywhere. And if you've got Alonso in your mirrors, I don't think there's a scarier sight in Formula 1 than that. If he's in a quick car,
especially it actually. I realise, because I've only been to F1 for 2 or 3 years now. I've never seen live Alonso in a car that competitive.
Yeah.
Actually seeing, I've seen clips and I've watched races back and whatnot, but seeing that live was genuinely, I was like wow. He was so good.
People, when you're in the heat of the race, you forget he's 41, isn't he? He's coming up on 42. This guy's a middle-aged man. He's probably as old as some people's dads. Imagine that being your dad.
Do you know what? If he was my dad, I'd be pretty. I mean, have you seen his TikTok?
Oh,
have you seen the TikTok where he's like, middle-aged people can't do TikTok, and then he's just sort of against the wall, giving it all this. I rate it. I thought that was a good laugh.
Yeah, he sold his soul because they're sponsored by TikTok, aren't they? Aston Martin.
Are they?
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt that was his idea, but it worked.
He loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah. Especially now that he's in a fast car.
That's what stands out to me as well. He's giddy, it's his first season. He's so involved in this project. And he's so, just happy Alonso is one of the best drivers you can have in your team.
Yeah.
If it's an unhappy Alonso, he's probably the worst driver you can have in your team.
The worst possible thing. I mean, the McLaren situation just didn't go very smoothly.
The worst thing he ever did was the GP2 engine in Japan for Honda.
Yeah.
That was just peak. I want to leave.
Although arguably the best move he's ever made, well, maybe not. The best move I've ever seen live was Alonso on Hamilton, turn 10 Bahrain. Just an insane move.
That corner is hard as it is.
Yeah, I mean, a number of drivers, just off the top of my head, I think Piastri, Norris, Sainz, all locked up there, driving on their own. And he pulls a move there like that. I've never seen anyone do a move there
a move. He switched him.
Yeah, he sent Hamilton more than Salah sent Martinez yesterday. Honestly, no, I mean because he did the fake move to the outside and then cuts back inside. And I saw as well at the apex, I think Alonso had like 7 miles per hour more than Hamilton, which is
He's
not
just so
loads,
confident
but
on the brakes, isn't he?
yeah, he's just going for it, and he didn't lock up. Like that is because he must have broke so late.
And also, I think that Aston Martin that shows they use the same wind tunnel as Mercedes.
Yeah,
And the levels of downforce that Alonso was able to, like, the carrying on that car compared to Mercedes, like, Hamilton must be sat there thinking, what on earth?
Yeah.
Where has this come from?
Yeah, I think I imagine seeing his face probably. I'm pretty sure there's a picture where Alonso's gone. He's on the inside apex, and Hamilton's like in his car, just looking at him like how's he got there? He was there a second ago. How's he got there?
Yeah, he was just on rails the whole time. As soon as the race settled down, and you could see whoever he was behind, he was closing the gap.
Yeah,
closing the gap. And then once the Ferrari happen, and it was Sainz is 5 seconds ahead, but Alonso's behind him.
Yeah,
and there's 10 laps. I don't think there's any doubt that he was going to get on the podium.
I remember watching. They put a graphic up straight away of Alonso after I think it was when he was trying to catch. Would have been when he was trying to catch Hamilton, and the striking distance was like 2 laps.
Yeah, and he was 4 seconds. He was catch like 2 seconds left.
It was so just rapid. I mean, it almost seems strange that it's been so long that he's had a fast car. He's such a good driver.
Well, I feel like that's just his career, though, isn't it? Like, it's if he had 5 more points separate, like in different positions, he'd have 5 world championships. He's been so unlucky, and also his career path. It's not been great. He's picked the wrong choice much every time. Yeah, left Ferrari too early. Went to McLaren too early.
Yeah, but he seems to have dropped.
Finally,
in Aston
he's nailed one
at the apex, quite literally.
Yeah, he's finally there.
Another team who had quite an interesting weekend was Alpine. Yeah. I believe, because
his former employers.
Yeah,
I bet he was thinking, "Thank God, I'm not there anymore."
I bet Vettel was just sat watching the race, like, well, brilliant. Just thinking, well, Stroll, was that a mistake by Stroll? I reckon I can hop back in, but Alpine qualified.
Qualifying. We'll start there because Gasly had a rotter,
absolute rotter, literally rock bottom.
Well, I think his time was 18th, but then he got it deleted for track limits, didn't he?
Yeah. And then Ocon, not actually pretty respectable 9th.
Yeah.
In terms of, which is crazy to say because we've got 4 competitive cars, very, very competitive cars, obviously.
Yeah. I think like Alpine, the best they can hope for is like a Q3 appearance now.
Yeah. Which is mental to think.
Yeah, because last season, Alonso put it on the front row in Canada, and even in like Japan, Ocon finished 4th. But I don't think they've taken a step backwards. I just feel like Aston's made such a leap.
Yeah, they've made a step forward, but Aston Martin have done
a leap forward,
run and jump forward, and the other teams. I mean, Mercedes saying they take. I mean, did Hamilton literally say, if anything, our car is the same as, if not worse than last year?
Well, they said they've taken a step back because they're 4th fastest now.
Yeah, but either way.
Yeah, but in the race, Gasly. Well, it was a shift in fortune, wasn't it?
Ocon
had a brilliant qualifying, and Gasly had a terrible qualifying, and then it flipped on its head. I don't know. They didn't really focus on Gasly. We didn't really see him much.
We did not see him much.
He made 11 places up.
But we didn't see a single. I don't remember seeing a single one of them.
No, he just appeared in P9.
I'm assuming. I don't remember his strategy. I'm assuming it was the soft to hard strategy.
Yeah, I think it was only Magnussen that started on the hard.
Yeah, which didn't go very well. But not much to say about the Haas really. But yeah, I mean, Gasly did so well, like you say, such a contrast, and then Ocon. Well, just a disaster class.
He was just a calamity of errors from the team and himself. It's it started. It's his fault it happened really because the first not starting in the correct place. I know it's been a year, 100 days, whatever it is.
But I don't remember.
Basic, isn't it?
That. Yeah, you'd think that is that is the first thing you have complete and utter control over before the race has even started. And I'm sure he wasn't miles over the line.
No,
over the line.
It's the rule, isn't it?
Yeah. Which obviously gave him a 5-second penalty.
And then he went in, and then the mechanics thought, we're not going to wait 5 seconds, we'll wait 4.5, and then we'll take
that'll do.
Yeah, that'll do. And then he got a 10-second penalty.
10 seconds. It's just an absolute disaster. And then didn't they DNF anyway?
Well, no, they just retired him because he was
retired him.
They just saved the engine, I think.
Yeah, absolute disaster for Ocon. But on the other hand, Gasly 11 places, 9th place. Was it 9th in the end?
Yeah, 9th in the end.
That's pretty good. From 20th to 9th. I know there were obviously a couple of DNFs, but he wasn't going to go past Leclerc anyway.
No.
And yeah, other DNFs, McLaren, another
Are we
absolute.
going to talk about McLaren first? Because there's another notable DNF.
Go for it.
Let's talk about Ferrari.
Let's talk about Ferrari.
And, they've given it the big one over winter. We've turned our engines back up. We've sorted the reliability out. We're going to... Because at the start of last season, they had the advantage in the straights, didn't they? Because they were quicker off the slow speed corners. The traction was better. And at the beginning of the straight, they were quicker. And by the end of it, the Red Bull was just catching them. But, so we've fixed it. We're going to bring the engine power back. And it was all going rosy until about 41. And, oh no... Who's that going slowly?
Imagine our shock. We watched it in the pub, and
I laughed.
Yeah, there were a couple of chuckles. I think people were just like, "Yep, there is." Wondered which lap it was. The odd person probably cheered because they put a bet on it to be like 41. That kind of thing.
It was like comical. Like you could see it coming. No one was surprised.
It just had to be. And I remember that the Leclerc on the team radio was just like, "Oh, come on, guys!" Like
it must be getting to the point now. Like he must. I don't even know what to even say to that. It's the same problem. Well, we don't know if it's the same issues. It might be a different component with the engine, but
either way, that they have to sort it out.
Not even until they didn't even get to the end of the first race.
That is
cocking something up.
Although to be fair, look, we said this. I mean, we didn't say this last year, but obviously both Red Bulls were out from similar issues at Bahrain last year, and they went and absolutely stormed both championships. So, do you think there's any chance of Ferrari coming back?
Well, I still think. It's between them and Aston for the second fastest car at the moment.
Yeah.
The thing is, when Red Bull did it, everyone knew that they were maybe a little bit behind Ferrari at the start, but they were there.
Yeah.
But, everyone compared to the Red Bull is so much slower.
Yeah.
So I feel like as the season goes on, they'll be in front of Mercedes.
Yeah. And also speaking of as the season goes on, will Aston Martin be able to keep this up?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Do you think they'll be faster than Mercedes the whole season?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, because they're going to change the concept, aren't they? Toto Wolff has come out and said, we've hit a dead end. We're going to change the car. And they're going to, if it is the side pods they're on about, which it probably will be, everyone else, Aston Martin switched to this concept, it's Spain last year. They've got years more knowledge.
Okay, yeah.
Mercedes are on the back foot compared to pretty much every team now. If they switch, everyone else knows, a bit more. They've got the data on how it works.
Yeah, I suppose I'll play devil's advocate a little bit in the sense that the Mercedes drivers, you've got a 7-time world champion, and George Russell who put a Williams on the front row at Spa.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question of the drivers. I just think, the top end of the field is so talented anyway.
Yeah,
and a couple tenths in the car makes so much difference.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the midfield, it makes drivers can make the difference, but when you try to push up the grid, the difference between Max and Charles is that much, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
But the reason why Max is so far ahead is because the Red Bull's so much better.
Yeah, I suppose, and then another thing we can talk about, another team who had quite a possibly under the radar weekend, Williams.
Oh my God, yes, Alex Albon, my hero.
What a man! That car is not one of the 5th best cars on the grid.
You say that, but the race, I feel like they surprised even themselves with where they were.
Although, I mean, I think we said this last week, that Williams, it might not be the fastest, but it's a reliable car. It will get to the end of, hopefully, most races, barring an incident.
Yeah.
And it showed, because there were DNFs, 3 or 4 DNFs, McLaren having loads of issues. We need to talk about McLaren as well. McLaren having loads of issues. Shock, definitely didn't see that coming. And then Albon there to pick up the point.
That's the thing with Albon. He's always just lurking around 11th and 12th.
Yeah.
The Bahrain as well is, it's not a track you particularly fancy Williams to do well at. You need a lot of downforce, and that's something that they've notoriously lacked.
Yeah.
So,
and they've said that they lack this year.
Yeah,
as well,
they do. It's not a track that they particularly went well on last year either. I know Albon nearly got into Q3, but then he fell down the order.
Yeah.
But they were there on pace. Sonoda was catching him, but he didn't get past him. Logan Sargent as well.
After
a really good qualifying. I know he went out in Q1, But
he did himself proud. Well, he did finish 11th in the end, right?
he finished 12th. He finished 12th.
12th. That do you know what? For your F1 debut in a car that is probably the worst car on the grid, or
It's
the
close.
slowest car on
It's
the grid on
close, but
pace.
it is the slowest I'd say still.
That fair play to him. Fair play, Logan Sargent. You've done yourself proud there. Not that he's going to see this, but you've done yourself proud.
No. And well, on rookie watch as well, we might as well move on to McLaren
Yeah.
because Norris might as well have retired. They pitted 5 times.
5 times. He was a minute behind whoever was in
Ocon.
last at that Ocon at that point. It was just an absolute disaster.
Yeah, there wasn't an issue. Maybe the issue is the car's just crap.
Yeah.
But something went wrong with it, and then Oscar, bless him, his gearbox just went.
Yeah, it does. It feels like a big shame we're actually done it. Imagine Oscar Piastri had Lance Stroll's seat. Where do you think? How do you think he would have fared that race?
Probably similar. I rate him highly. You can't say in hindsight, the McLaren's crap. He probably should have stayed at Alpine, but he wasn't to know that.
Yeah.
And I still think in the long run he'll be okay. He's a good driver. But
Yeah.
They're just in such a state, aren't they?
Yeah. It does just. It just feels like a bit of a shame. McLaren, they're a British team, a British driver, and
They're so talented, both of them. And
Yeah.
it's just such a waste on them.
yeah,
At some point, they've got to stop with the excuse of the wind tunnel. Like,
yeah,
they've been at this. They got done at the rule changes. They were straight away behind everyone. All that work that they've done to move up to like 3rd and 4th, gone.
yeah,
Because Ferrari did what they should have done, which was make the leap up,
yeah,
but they went backwards instead.
yeah. I think we've gone through pretty much everything. In all fairness, obviously Max won, Perez came second.
Yeah, Max Verstappen. Let's talk about Max Verstappen. Because let's give him some credit. Yes, he was in autopilot, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Really. As soon as the
He
first
did
stint
just
ended,
cruise around.
he just. Well, I think we saw the camera cuts him like twice.
I don't remember seeing him much. I think
After the first few laps, I don't remember seeing him.
I remember at the start when he just happened to be in shot of everything else going on, and then at the end because they have to have him crossing the line, and that was it. I don't think he. He wasn't in first the whole race because of pits and whatnot, but after you've been that dominant in a race, how happy are you crossing the line? Like genuinely,
He probably was just happy that it was over.
yeah, because he's not thinking about individual race anymore. He knows that this title should be his. Obviously he has to go and do it now, but he's thinking in terms of the long term. I'm gonna have to keep this up. I hope the cars are battling like this, but I think he drove very consistently, no issues as far as we saw.
I feel like we're seeing a lot of what happened in 2020, where if Lewis got past the first corner, he'd win the race.
Yeah,
And I think as much as I don't want it to be like that this season. I feel like if Max avoids any incident, he should win.
yeah,
It's obviously you've got the occasional George Russell dive bomb, which is going to take him out.
or Lance Stroll dive bombers.
Yeah, maybe
probably going to
Lance
happen a
Stroll
couple of
getting
times.
But I just at some point it is going to go wrong for him.
Yeah.
You can't have a perfect season.
Yeah,
Even when Schumacher was cutting about in 2004 and smashing everyone, he still didn't win every race.
yeah.
So and there's plenty of opportunities, especially with more races for hopefully some excitement.
Hopefully, yeah. But to be honest, do you know what? If every race is like Bahrain, I think we'll have a very fun season. Obviously, Max will cruise to the title. I'm not surprised. But if this midfield battle, this upper midfield battle continues being like it was yesterday, I think we will have a very interesting season. I think we'll have a couple of crashes.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me to see. We won't see Alonso and Stroll battle probably. This might get cut up and used in the clip in the future, but we'll see about that. But I can see Alonso and Hamilton coming together a lot more.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for the most. If there's any two drivers that we've been starved of having a scrap, it's them two.
Yeah,
Because there's so much beef there. I actually admire how petty Alonso is. He's still bitter about 2007.
Can you blame him?
I know, but it was how many years ago now? Nearly 16 years ago.
Yeah, you
Come
did
on,
the maths faster than me.
Fernando. We're better than this.
Grow up. No, I like it. I love it. That battle was fantastic. I would watch that. We
that's what
have watched that over and over again.
I feel like we've been starved of it. So now that the Aston and the Mercedes are close,
Yeah.
here's a question for you then.
All right.
Do you class the Mercedes as a midfield car?
No. For me, the midfield at the moment is. I'm thinking probably like lower midfield in terms of these cars, but like you've got your Alfa Romeos, the Alpines, Lance Stroll.
no. That's way too far.
And then maybe maybe the Williams. I mean, it's
I
just
feel like
the reliability is there.
there isn't much between, like, you've got the top 4
Yeah.
and the bottom 6, haven't you, really?
Yeah. I agree with that perfectly. That's why when I sort of refer to Aston Martin and that as upper midfield, because they're not.
Well, you've got Red Bull, the other 3.
Yeah.
The bottom 6.
Red Bull are effectively most seasons top 2. That they're covering both that, but it's Max and then Perez is second. Like that is it.
Yeah, there'll be a few races where Perez, like, it's.
Do you reckon he'll win a race? Genuinely, do you reckon
Perez
he'll
will
win a
win
race this season?
Something will go wrong for Max.
So do you think that if there were so assuming Max doesn't DNF, will Perez beat him?
In one race?
Yeah, genuinely.
I think as a Max fan, I am a bit overly critical of him sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, there's always a race in the calendar where Perez is quicker than him. He just has a shocker every weekend.
Yeah.
It happened twice, actually. Well, no, actually, I wouldn't say. Singapore, Max was quicker. He just
Yeah.
got stiffed by the pit.
Yeah.
And he had that mistake. But, like, last year's Monaco, in, like, every session, Perez was quicker.
Yeah.
And he was just driving terribly. And it will happen. He'll be off. He has an off day, like, once a season. Where was it? Was it in 2021? I'm trying to remember where he was.
Not mine's
I think it was Turkey. He finished in front of Perez, but
Yeah.
Bottas just steamed away from him and he couldn't get near him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember Bottas in Turkey actually. But yeah. So I think we're both in pretty much consensus that Max will win by at least 1 million points this season.
I think 16 race wins for Max this year.
16. I'm going to go with. Wait, is it 22 races? 23. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to say 18 race wins.
18.
I think he will. What's the previous record? Is it 15?
15 held by Max.
He will smash that just purely because I think it wouldn't surprise me if the Red Bulls keep not keep DNFing. I know they sorted themselves out very gradually over the course of last season, but that we saw the Red Bull is just it's a different category.
Yeah, it feels like everyone else is Formula 1.5.
Yeah.
And Red Bull's just on its own.
Yeah, or they just are Formula.
They have the formula.
They have it. They've worked it out. They've created the fastest car.
Did you know Adrian Newey wrote a book called How to Build a Car?
Did he?
Yeah.
That doesn't shock me in the slightest.
Mercedes, you should read that book.
Maybe they should, or maybe they've already ordered it. But maybe they're waiting for it to come in. But that's the new concept.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds as though Aston Martin have definitely read it because from what Perez said, he loved to see 3 Red Bulls on the podium.
Yeah.
And then just sat there awkwardly.
I feel like everyone was happy to see Alonso. Well,
oh yeah.
Maybe not Lewis Hamilton seeing his 2 biggest haters first and third.
Yeah, definitely not. Moving on to next week, then I feel like we've covered the Bahrain Grand Prix pretty extensively. It is so obviously it's not next week, but the next race, Saudi Arabia, in
Jeddah.
2 weeks' time. Who do you think? What is your top 3 prediction?
Max Verstappen to win the race.
What? You're hearing this? You're hearing it? Go on.
I'm gonna go bold.
I'm gonna go bold.
So Max to win.
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc P2.
Okay. Well, because you just don't rate Perez.
I just think he's going to come back with a vengeance, and it's not as downforce heavy.
Okay, so if Leclerc finishes, it'll be second, right?
I think so.
So effectively, he's winning he's winning his race. Because Max is different level.
And Checo third. Why not?
Checo third. I'll go. See, I would just say the same, but I'm gonna go Max obviously to win. I'm gonna go Perez second purely because that car is just too fast. Sorry, and along that long straight. The Red Bull will just streak away from it. I reckon it'll be hard for people to overtake. Like I reckon if you see a Sainz Perez battle, and Sainz is within 0.7 seconds going up that straight, I don't think he's gonna have a chance. Yeah. He's gonna have to be like 0.2 behind to get anywhere near.
He had a good race at Jeddah, didn't he? I know he went from first to fourth, but he was on pole and he was gonna win the race before Latifi'd.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Jeddah track? Because do you think it's? I remember last year. And after the Schumacher crash, people saying it's a bit too dangerous.
I dislike the Jeddah track.
Really?
I just don't like it. I just think it's great for qualifying because it's a zippy track, loads of turns.
It's my favourite quality to watch a lap of. I'm not in. There's nothing more like high adrenaline than watching someone proper go for it around Jeddah.
And I think last year as well. Well, not last year. The year before was Max. That was
I'm still upset
gripping.
about that.
But I don't like Jeddah because. Qualifying's great, but the racing it's so hard to overtake. Like it's because like what is it, sector most of Sector 3 and Sector 2, it's just like windy like that, and then
That's why I think it's so good though, right? You've got to be so good.
you've got to be so on the edge. But
I feel like it really shows who is good enough.
yeah,
Like, because in the 2021 race, again, it was Max and Lewis 40 seconds ahead of everyone
yeah.
around that track, and they were fanning about, they were crashing into each other. And
Thing
they were
is-
still miles faster than everyone else.
That's the other thing I don't like about it, though, is that literally the first chicane. I reckon if you can't overtake that, because otherwise you just go off the track.
No,
We
but
had
I
it
like it.
twice. We
I
had
like
it
it
twice.
there.
It's so frustrating though, because obviously I wanted Max to win that battle because it was a very pivotal race in the season. But you go off the track, and then one of them does it. One of them does the actual track. One of them goes off and gains 0.6 of a second, and then he's miles away out of DRS. You got no chance, and then suddenly we're just. It's not even about whether whether the person behind is going to be able to catch up. It's about whether the FIA are going to give you a penalty, and that's for me. That's not what racing's about. So I
Yeah.
think either. I just don't like it.
I feel like for me, it's the same. Obviously, the two complete opposite tracks, but that and Monaco. Like the reason I still want Monaco on the calendar is because it's a driver skill track.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it
but
shows who's
that's a
got it.
historical track.
I know, but that's why I like Jeddah, because it's it shows who's got the minerals. Yeah,
Yeah,
like there's a reason why Max is so good there,
yeah,
and Latifi crashed into the wall 3 times in one weekend there.
yeah.
Because it really shows you who's got it and who
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah, although if Jeddah wasn't on the F1 game, I wouldn't miss it. That's all I'm saying.
I love Jeddah on the F1 game.
Oh,
I'm
it's
so good
horrible.
at it. I love
if
it.
I had a steering wheel, it'd be all right, but I don't.
That's one of the only tracks I'm good at.
I hate that track. You're just bad at the game then. Either way, I've not played it in a long time. I've got stick drift now these days, so
Yeah.
it's rest in peace. Yeah, I'm trying to buy a new controller, but I just can't be bothered.
Oh.
Either way, let's
Right.
not get too into that, because that's no one cares.
Okay,
no one cares about my controller.
Well, with F1 Fantasy, I think
Yes.
is what we've got now.
Next on the agenda. So obviously, I am the nerd of F1 on this podcast, and I did come first. Don't worry. I got 240 points this week. DRS Verstappen got me 70. Alonso and the Sainz both came through as well, both with relatively big point scores. And
That
then
big
my other
minus
two were
17 for Ocon.
yeah, minus 17 for Ocon was very interesting. I think a lot of people had him there. So in terms of my rank, I don't think it's that bad. And then Hulkenberg with a -1. It was either him
I
or
feel like that's
Logan
harsh.
Sargent.
I don't think Nico Hubbard did a lot wrong.
He just lost places. So
Yeah.
the points
Again, that
just
wasn't
came
really his
down.
fault. I know he tagged his front wing.
Yeah.
but-
And Dan had an absolute blinder. Got 207 points, so
Yeah,
33 points behind me.
Yeah, did any of my... Oh, yeah. Well, I had Leclerc. Thanks, Ferrari.
If anything, though, that just shows how much better my team is than yours, because he got 6 more points than Ocon, and I still finished 33 points ahead of you.
Yeah, I know, but...
You stink.
No.
Have that.
you
Hold that.
Because you have Red Bull, that's why.
Yeah, but it's your fault that you don't have Red Bull.
Well, no, because I wanted 2 big drivers in Verstappen and Leclerc, and I thought, oh, well, maybe I believed the hype that they'd fix the reliability, and they haven't.
But to be fair,
The rest of it's okay. Bottas
Yeah.
got 13.
Albon
Albon got 13.
shout out to Albon, by the way,
What a boy.
because I've not got the prices here, but pretty cheap.
He's a differential.
done a
Not
good
many
job.
people have him.
He is, and I'm getting him for next week. So watch out, guys. Mainly because I'm just sad that Ocon got -17 and I had to get him out, and I took out.
Which one's Matty? Is this Matt?
This is not Matty's. If Matty, so for reference, the other team I've got a screenshot. I don't have Matty's.
Oh, right, okay.
Apologies, Matty. He did worse than both of us. So I think if anything, I'm just saving him because I think he had Leclerc and Ocon. Obviously, neither of us had both. So he just had like -70 points to start off with. Quite a lot of people actually. Loads and loads of people got the maximum score this week, which was 377 points. So for reference, I think I'm 30,000-ish in the world, which is like about 30. Because there's about 100,000 people playing. I got 240,000, and there was an enormous number of people who got 377 points. So they did use a chip. They DRS'd Verstappen, so that's a ×2, and then they used the triple DRS on Alonso, which got them 117 points because he just went crazy. He got 39 points, so 3 times that, 117. That is the easiest point scoring you'll ever see, and that's probably, like, in terms of the length of the season, that 39 is a pretty good score.
Yeah, I feel like there's a few. I don't know when I'm going to use mine. I feel like Hamilton at Silverstone's an obvious one
Yeah.
because he always just turns up there, doesn't he?
I think, to be fair, if you just lob it on Verstappen, if you forget to use it all season
Lob
and then
it on
give it
Verstappen,
Verstappen, yeah, it'll probably be all right. And if not, I think Michael Massey probably has him DRS, so he'll find a way to make sure that he gets that last lap. And then obviously the people came first in the world. The constructors were Red Bull and Aston Martin. I think if you don't have Red Bull and Aston Martin, you're playing with fire.
Yeah,
It's very risky. Oh, that's the other thing.
that's what I have.
Yeah.
I have Ferrari. Why do I? I don't know why I back them.
You got Aston though.
I fell for
They
it.
still got 31 points, which ain't bad, but it's not quite 78 points. I'm not gonna lie.
You lot are Baronello. You tricked me. My prediction for the season of them winning the constructors is already pretty
It's
much.
coming back to bite you. 100k views on TikTok though. 100,000 people thought you're a mug, or like, well, there's a couple thousand people who said, oh, I'd watch most. Which is fair enough.
I just wanted a competitive season, and I thought, you know what? I hear it. Maybe they have fixed the engine.
Maybe.
Leclerc's so good, I rate him. You know, maybe this is the year. This is the year that they do it. They're the Liverpool of this is our year. That's what they are. They do it every year.
Talk about Liverpool. Although we did just win 7-0, so I'm actually pretty happy with that, if I'm honest. The only other thing I want to ask you about your F1 is, what are your plans for next week, or next race, I should say? Have you thought about it yet? Like, are you going to make any transfers? You've got 2 free transfers. I would, if I was you, I would seriously look at getting Red Bull.
I want to, but I also
It's so risky.
I know.
I think it's as simple as Leclerc Leclerc out, Ferrari out, bring in Red Bull, and you could probably afford Sainz.
I don't want Sainz though. Sainz is
Yeah, but he's the best driver out of best of the rest, or even Lance Stroll.
Lance
Genuinely,
Stroll
I think I brought in Lance Stroll. I think I brought in Lance Stroll for Ocon.
I'm
and then I
keeping
brought in
Bottas.
Albon for
I'm keeping
Hulkenberg.
Bottas and Albon because they to me are the 2 drivers in the midfield who can just pull out some points, because they are. I think that's a question. For me, they're the best 2 in the midfield.
Who, sorry?
Bottas and Albon. I don't class Lando
Bottas
in
and
there
Albon.
because
The car's just not
the
there.
car's not there. Once they're back in, I actually think McLaren are the slowest car, by the way. Now,
Do you think? Is it that? But what about AlphaTauri though?
Tsunoda had a good race. He was 11th.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I didn't think. I completely forgot about that. Actually, if I'm honest with you.
De Vries actually.
De Vries.
He had a bit of a honker, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know how. I thought we said. I think this is another thing we spoke about on last week. Was would De Vries breeze Tsunoda? No, he would not. I think Tsunoda maybe is looking at De Vries and thinking, Christ, I have to pull my socks up a bit. Is that the saying? Pull my socks up a bit, and I have to start driving a little bit fast. And he's done that a little bit.
I hope he does. I really do like Yuki.
I'm still undecided on him. I think I like him, but I think this is a bit of a make or break for him.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people in F2 that are gunning for that AlphaTauri seat. They've got so many. I think it's 6 drivers in that field, Red Bull.
Yeah, and it's such a valuable seat because Perez isn't contracted as Red Bull forever. He will have to leave at some point. And I think the best replacement for Perez is probably Lando Norris.
I just can't see it.
I can see Norris going to either Mercedes or Red Bull.
Yeah, I would like him to, but I just think if you're going into Red Bull, you're playing with fire, aren't you? Because it's Max's team.
Oh, that's very true. Who do you think is, other than Perez? Let's ignore Perez for a bit. Who is the best number 2 driver on the roster?
What to put into Red Bull?
Yeah, I suppose.
If I was Christian Horner and I love Max Verstappen so much and I want him to stay forever and never leave my team, it's hard, isn't it? I'll be looking around. You don't want someone who's going to come in and disrupt too much. I feel like that's why Perez was the perfect choice in the first place, because he was, he's towards the back end of his career when they brought him in. He's happy to be there. He knows his role. But if you bring in someone like Norris, who
he's going to want to challenge for that top spot.
He believes in himself. He thinks I believe he's as good as anybody on the grid.
Yeah.
But if he comes in and starts disrupting things, is that going to do more harm than good? So it's hard.
Who you saying?
Tsunoda.
Can I throw one out there?
Yeah.
And this is, I don't actually think this would work, but do you think it would be interesting because of, so the person I'm talking about is Carlos Sainz.
Ooh.
He's driven for a Red Bull team before.
Yeah.
I don't see why he would leave Ferrari, and realistically, I know this would never happen. But he's driven for Red Bull team before when they were Toro Rosso at the time. I can't remember if he was good or not, to be honest. This just came to mind now. But if Ferrari, like we were talking about last week, the reliability still isn't there, and Charles Leclerc is obviously the top dog at Ferrari. That might turn into a bit of a Charles Leclerc FC, just like Red Bull is Verstappen FC.
Yeah.
Does Sainz look at?
Well, I don't know. I feel like he is closer to Leclerc than I feel like he would be to Max.
Yeah.
And there is not a bigger one-man team on the grid than Red Bull.
Yeah.
If he's not happy with the situation at Ferrari, he wouldn't be happy with Red Bull.
Yeah, very true. I just thought I'd throw it out there. I think it's interesting because he has driven for a Red Bull team before.
He has, and
he's got the links. He knows Christian.
He cut those tyres, didn't he? He wanted, and I
Yeah.
feel like he likes it at Ferrari.
Yeah, I think it's. I find it interesting. I think the battle between him and Leclerc should be hotter. It should be a bigger battle because Sainz should be better. I just think Sainz just isn't anywhere near as good as Leclerc. I don't know, I feel harsh saying that. I know he's a great driver, but
I find it crazy that he did beat him in 2021, didn't he?
Did he actually beat him?
He finished in front of him, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Surely that's just down to the reliability issues.
No. A lot of factors went against Leclerc in 2021. Like,
Yeah.
Anything that happened to Ferrari happened to him. I feel like that happens all the time.
Yeah.
To him.
He never gets the rub of the green with the Ferrari look, does he?
No. I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who he's annoyed in the previous life to have his dreams crushed, because all he wants to do is drive for Ferrari.
Just wants to drive fast as well.
And some higher being is just sniping down his dreams at every opportunity. All he wants to do is win races for Ferrari, and
no, they're saying no. I reckon we wrap it up there.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing or following us on Spotify or whatever.
It's up here somewhere.
It's up here. Move it around a bit more. Love that. I'm gonna zoom it in, zoom it back out. Oh, testing Matty
I'm
there.
gonna take it off you now.
Ooh.
It's above me now.
Oh my god! Right, Matty's not happy, is he?
No.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching or listening on whatever platform you're on. Hopefully, we'll see you again next week.
Yes.